One of the things I do is I teach people about their human design. And so what it did for me was I felt very disconnected to my intuition, my inner knowing. And I've been seeing it come up a lot with just people who are successful. And they're like, my parents taught me that like I know best. And so being able to give ourselves that time or whatever we need to process and how we make decisions and how we should take action. And so my human design gave me those stepping points to reconnect. I say it revived myself because I always had this sacral inner gut knowing there was such a disconnect. And so it's taken me years to kind of, it's like a relationship that's been
Mhm.
ignored. And so I've been nurturing it. And since I don't have any doubt when I make a decision that it's the right decision anymore. I'm not in my head thinking, should I do this? I've built those tools. Before I learned this, I had this inner rage inside of me
Oh, yeah.
because I was always living my life through other people's expectations. And so when I started to connect with my inner self and understanding how I operate, I feel like it did help dissipate that mom rage. But I
Mhm.
know that's something that you work with. And I remember so deeply after I had my son. And there was a few things. One, I expected people to be in my head to say, how can I help you? It was also giving myself those things first. Like, I was
Mhm.
expecting people to do them for me, and I was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
wait, I need to nurture myself first." So first and foremost, like, give what you need, and then it's gonna spill over to your kids, and I feel like a lot of that mom rage is because so many mothers were told and modeled to selfishly give themselves for everyone around them that they're left
Mhm.
depleted, and then
Mhm.
when it comes time where they're so depleted that they don't have that support, that rage comes out.
Mhm.
I would love to know kind of your take of how I healed a little bit of my mom rage, and if you have any suggestions on how other people can heal it too.
Yeah, so you really hit the nail on the head there. We have been taught as women that when you become a mom, you become a martyr. That you put yourself on the back burner, your needs don't matter because you are now a mom and everybody else's needs come ahead of yours. And that really does contribute to that rage that builds inside of you. And really, there are external triggers, there are internal triggers. You know, the external triggers are that moms are expected to wear all of the hats. When a child gets sick at school, the school calls mom. They never call dad. That they are expected to be everything to everyone with very little support to themselves. They don't get any alone time, right? Those are all external triggers. The internal triggers are the thoughts, the beliefs that you carry with you in your motherhood, that motherhood is supposed to look a certain way, that you are trying to live up to this certain ideal. And all of that stems from what you saw as a child, what society is demanding of parents, what you see on social media, on Instagram, on your feed of like these moms throwing these elaborate birthday parties, and you feeling like you have to do that, otherwise, you're failing as a mom. All of that contributes to this anger, this feeling of isolation and feeling alone. I have to say, when I first started my parenting journey, all of motherhood was a trigger. Through the 10 years since I've become a parent, I now have very clear like situations that will happen that will trigger this mom rage, and sleep deprivation is a huge one for me. But bringing that awareness to what is going on for me in the moment, understanding the feelings in my body, the sensations, the tightness in my chest, as we build that awareness, we're able to say, like, something's going on here. I need to turn inwards and pay attention to what's going on. And then you're able to figure out what it is that you need, figure out how to communicate that need to people around you. Because you're right, people are not going to just read your mind and say, like, oh, Kara needs a morning to where she gets to sleep in. You have to be able to say, this is what's going on in my body. This is how I'm feeling. This is what I need. How do I reach out to the supports around me so that I can get that thing that I need and I could show up better in my parenting?
Yeah, for sure. This isn't direct correlation with being a parent, but I had someone on my podcast where she was looking for her partner. And she's like, what do I want in a partner? I want them to give me devoted attention in the morning before we start our day. And she was like, I'm not doing that myself. So how
Mhm.
can I expect someone to come in and do that for me? And so it's also one of those things. Oh, wait, I need self care. I need uninterrupted quiet time And so I see so many moms overwhelmed, and I get it. It's really hard to break this cycle of like they're overwhelmed in their life. And then when they get those few minutes, they go on social media. And
Mhm,
it's like, that's right there. That's going to
mhm.
overwhelm you more. You're going to be looking at other people's. That's where the comparison comes in. You feel like you're not doing enough. That's people's highlight reel. That's not what their normal everyday looks like. Don't get me wrong, I will do that too. But a lot of times I'll say, like, before I do that, I need to
Mhm.
sit in meditation. Before
Yep.
I do that, I need to do breath work. And a lot of the time, it feels so good that I'm focusing on myself fully. Because when you're on social media, you are not paying attention to yourself at all.
Mm-mm.
You're not, because your body is probably screaming at you, like, oh, I need to do this. I need to do that. It's maybe just saying like, okay, for me, it's like that habit stacking. I'm allowed to go on social media once I do one of these 5 things.
Mhm.
What do I feel in this moment? Finding how we can nourish ourselves. And if we can't do that, who do we need to ask? Because
Right.
when is there a time where someone's like, oh, yeah, yeah, you know what? You take the afternoon, go take care of yourself. I have moments like that now. My mom lives close, and I'm grateful that she'll watch the kids for me. And I've felt guilty that I've gone paddleboarding instead of the traditional sense of working. But on that paddleboard trip, I had so much inspiration on what I
Mhm.
could be doing in my business. It was still working for me. It just not might not look like it's working for other people. And so
Right.
it's my job to take that guilt away. And if my mom really has a problem with knowing that I'm going paddleboarding while she's watching my kids, it's up to her to have that conversation with
Mhm.
me to say, like, "What are you doing? I'm doing you a favor." And then it would take me being like, "Hey, here, would you like to see my notebook? This is a part of how I work." It might not look like the general idea of someone sitting at the
Mhm.
computer, but that's just not how I operate. So it's,
Right.
again, living the life through other people's expectations of
Mhm.
this is maybe what it looks like to be productive in one person's eye, and just honoring yourself.
Right. And so that brings up another point that I work with a lot of my clients on is that you are not responsible for other people's reactions to you. And so in that situation where if your mom is upset with you for going paddleboarding while she's watching the kids instead of working like she thought you were going to be, it's not your responsibility to feel guilty for her reaction to you. You had brought up something as you were speaking, single parents, single moms who I work with, one of their biggest challenges is, well, I don't have anybody to ask for support. I don't live near my parents, or I'm estranged from my parents, and I am the sole provider for my children from the time that they wake up to the time that they go to sleep. There really is no time for me. And so their biggest challenge is recognizing that, okay, my son is, maybe you have a 10-year-old and your son is taking a shower right now and they're doing their thing. You're not in the bathroom with them. What are you doing? Maybe you're washing dishes, maybe you're folding laundry. But in that moment, recognizing I have 10 minutes right now where I can sit. I don't need to worry about the dishes. I don't need to worry about the laundry. They're going to be there. Those are things are going to be there. I'm not minimizing those are things that need to be done. But maybe instead of picking up your phone and scrolling social media, because that is a reaction, that is a way for you to check out from your body because you are feeling overwhelmed. In that moment, using things that are in your toolkit, using self care strategies that work for you. You have 10 minutes. So here's this 10-minute thing that you can do. You could do the breath work. You can do movement. That's something that I encourage my clients. You don't have to go out for a run. You don't have to do a big, long workout, but stand in your bedroom and do some squats, shake out your body, do some head rolls, some body stretches, because it just helps to move that energy through your body. The more you do it, the more you want it, and the more that you're going to find ways to fit it into your very busy schedule. And so one of the biggest lies that I find women tell ourselves is, I don't have time. And if you really start to pay attention to those little pockets of time, again, I'm not saying that folding laundry and doing dishes and packing lunches, that's not a waste of time, but take 5 minutes, drop into your body, roll your shoulders back, unclench your jaw, take a few deep breaths, light a candle, say a little prayer for yourself, do some affirmation work. That will make all the difference in how the rest of the day unfolds.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, because I see that a lot where people are like, I don't have the time. And it's like, well, yeah, you are making that excuse. I'm not in your shoes, so I can't really talk too much about that. What can you teach your children to do to take some of that load off of you?
Mhm.
Because if you're trying to be that martyr, of like, I have all this to do. You might not have the adults to help you, but for example, I was kind of getting sick of having to pack for myself and my kids when we would go on a little trip. And so what I did, and my kids are 4 and 7, and I made a checklist for them. My son can't read yet. And so I put pictures. And so I say, here's your checklist. Go pull all of this stuff out. Are their clothes going to match? I don't care. It's teaching them
Mhm.
to be self sufficient when it comes time to going somewhere that they can do that. And so, what are some things in your life that you can take that obligation that you have to do everything for everyone and take that away? I hear that and I see that so much, that excuse. And it's like, now more than ever would a coach or someone be able to help you process to see those little pockets of time. And that's it. Like I tell people, when you feel overwhelmed, take a drink of water and
Mhm.
energetically feel that water go through your body. When you're taking a shower, breathe.
Mhm.
When you're going to the bathroom, be like, get this negative energy out of my body. You can reset yourself in seconds if need be, if you just see those pockets of that time. If you truly know in your body, like, I don't want to live my life this way anymore, you have the power to change it, but you gotta have to stop making excuses of why you can't have it. Finding the support to help you through those barriers for sure.
Yes, absolutely, and I love what you're teaching your kids in that moment too. You're not saying, "I'm not taking care of you." You are teaching them a valuable life experience, and that's also not to say that you're not gonna, like, take a quick glance in their suitcase to make sure that they have everything,
Yeah.
but you're teaching them that, number 1, self-responsibility. Number 2, that they're getting to make these decisions for themselves, and that's a big thing for kids, that they don't have any autonomy over their lives. We tell them when to wake up, when to go to sleep, what to eat, how to act. And when we give them those little nuggets of self-responsibility, you're opening them up to a greater life experience. And so I think that that's fabulous. That's a fabulous strategy. And I was a teacher for almost 2 decades. One of the big things that I see, especially with like middle school and high school kids, is that parents, like, they want to control every single aspect of their child's life, where they're going to school, what sport they're playing, what friends they hang out with. If that all comes from your own childhood experiences and how you were raised and what you either had as a child or didn't have as a child, and the beliefs and the thoughts that you are carrying inside of you that you are then spilling out onto your children, usually without any awareness.
Yeah, my therapist has brought that up because there's been a couple times where I've projected my own experience onto my kids, and she's like, like, "Don't give them that complex," and I'm like, "You're right, thank you for calling that out." But yeah, it is one of those things that I found growing up, that I had a mom, but I had 2 sisters that were older than me, and I always felt like I didn't ever have a say in my own what I was
Mhm.
wearing, where we were going, like, it never, and so that is kind of where I am with my kids, where it's like, I don't care what you wear. If you look ridiculous, all power to you. This is the first time I did the checklist, and I was like, okay, let's make sure, let's go down the list. It's not only important that you have the list, but it's also important to go through and check and make sure that you have everything. So of course, like, I'm going to support them after. It's empowering them to know you have the power to make these decisions and choose what you want, and I'm here if you need help deciding what that is.
Mhm.
They liked it and it was exciting. They got to check it off, and I was like, "Oh, maybe I need to, like, put this on Etsy. I don't know. Maybe people will like it." Buy their little
Yeah,
checklist. I laminated it so that it could be
with
reusable,
like a dry
so
erase marker. Yeah.
welcome to Floatactivity, the channel that guides you on a transformative journey towards spiritual wisdom, self-development, and healing practices, all aimed at elevating your intuition and aligning you with your soul's purpose. I'm your host, Kara Dempsey, and I'm thrilled to have you joining me today as we learn together.